We now turn to one of the most painful dimensions of Nazi criminality, medical experimentation in Auschwitz and the testimony of survivors. So it is my pleasure to invite Dr. Alja Brglez, researcher at the Institute for Civilization and Culture, who will speak on Erika Fürst's testimony about Josef Mengele and Nazi medical experiments in Auschwitz. Izvolite.
Thank you. I will speak today about Erika Fürst, a Jewish girl from Prekmurje. I guess many of you here personally encountered her at least once or maybe even many times. She was sent to Auschwitz together with her family, and she encountered there Dr. Josef Mengele. I met with her on several occasions when I was working as a head of the cabinet in the in the office of the president of the Republic, Borut Pahor, because we organized, and I personally dealt with it, many meetings and events of remembers, and she was our maybe most cherished guest. We talked very much about her painful memories and the legacy she wanted to leave behind her. And it was very moving to see how proud she was of the warmth and attentiveness that she received at schools when she was lecturing or just talking with students. So this was just a short introduction to let me say how very thankful I am that I can be here with you tonight. And I would first like to say thank you to Professor Sitter, because I think if it was his idea and he brought us all together. Then my second thank would go to the Alma Mater, because we can always count to find a place for such really important and very relevant topics to be discussed. And the third one then goes to the rector, our dear Professor Ludwig Toplak, because I know that it must be very, very painful still to remember of such personal stories. And I'm very grateful that we have had the opportunity to be witnessing the first words that he shared with us. Erika Fürst was born in 1931 and she passed away in 1924. You said before, Professor Greif, that every day 40 Holocaust survivors die. She was the last, in Slovenia, she was absolutely the last one Jew being deported and coming back as a Holocaust survivor. She was the last person who lived with us. So her memory is really something that's so terribly important for all of us. She was very, very happy to speak about the childhood that he had before everything happened. She was, as I said, born in 1931 in Murska Sobota, and it's really, for our today's perspective, it is great to be sharing her experience of how open the place was, of how her childhood was safe, and how she felt integrated into the local environment. She describes a happy and relatively affluent family life with her sister, father and mother, and she especially emphasized that wartime Prekmurje was marked by openness to Judaism. She said that she and her sister had friends who were Catholics. She was not feeling excluded in any aspect of their life. She described, when we were talking, she described how modern Judaism they practiced. She was even saying that they had an organ in the synagogue where they went every week to attend the masses. And she was even mentioning that they were eating pork. So this was her happy world that completely collapsed in 1944. On 6th of April, some of previous speakers already mentioned that date, when the war began in Yugoslavia. This was the day Erika recalls as the day when her father strictly forbade to both the sisters, from leaving the house. They were not supposed to even approach the garden fence. In those first days, local people looted Jewish shops and German soldiers allowed it. She said they even protected the places so that everybody could rob the shop. This all happened in the first week, and after that, the Germans handed authority over to the Hungarians. She even said that it was much better after that Hungarians were, as she said, much better. But still, a negative attitude toward Jews began immediately, and life in general became very difficult for her and her family. Her father lost his job, her mother lost her shop, and the family lived off occasional work and income. After the German occupation of Hungary in March 1944, systematic deportation of Jews began. So on April 26, 1944, Hungarian soldiers arrested Jews in Murska Sobota and the wider Prekmurje region. Families had their property confiscated and were gathered in temporary collective centers. This was also the case for Erika Fürst family. Her childhood was abruptly interrupted when two Hungarian gendarmes and two municipal officials with them arrived at their house at 5 in the morning. They demanded all gold, money, documents. They even tore the Star of David from the necklace that Erika had. She was 13 years old. Here I can already mention the first truly moving, shocking fragment of her testimony. She described how her father asked the soldiers if the family could step aside for a moment. And when they, the family, were alone, he took a small package from the drawer, and then he looked at the eyes of both daughters, and he put this package away. And then they went to the other room, and then everything happened, what I will describe later. So only after the war, and after they came back from the concentration camp, Erika learned from her mother that this was a package of arsenic. So the father was contemplating that the moment has come that all the family should take the poison, but he couldn't do it in the end. So Erika's family, like all other Jews from Prekmurje, was taken to the synagogue, which was the first collection point for Jews from the neighborhood. Then they went by wagon to Čakovec. They waited there for 2 days in very bad conditions for another transport. They went to Načkanisha, and again, it was a long way, so they had to wait again in very bad conditions. So after a few weeks, they were transported to the concentration camp. Just before that, they were divided into groups. The first group were obviously trying to find people who could work. So her father was chosen to join the other group. They were allowed to say goodbye. So his last words to his wife and daughters were, "We'll see each other at home." They never met again. So Erika said, "This was the hardest day of my life." Her mother and both daughters, along with grandmother, aunt, and cousin, they were all living in different parts of the region, but they were all collected for the same transportation. They went to a destination they didn't know what would be. So on the May 3rd, again, 1944, they arrived to Auschwitz. Upon arrival, they were taken to the selection ramp, and they saw Dr. Josef Mengele. He was standing there. I call this Dr. Mengele's crossroad because this is how Erika described it. It was either, as you said, left or right. Grandmother, aunt, and the 4-year-old cousin, they were immediately sent to the gas chamber, so Mengele just showed to the right. Erika and her sister, they were almost the same age, and they were almost the same size. Erika was a bit younger, but she was a bit stronger, so they were really quite identical. So Mengele asked the mother if they were twins. Mother spoke German, so she answered no and added very humbly that they wanted to be given some work, that they are willing to work. So he sent them to the left. As they moved aside and they watched the whole selection process, Erika then reported later that it was from the entire transportation. She was not sure about the number, but it probably was very a large number because they were gathering for so many days and weeks before they went to the final destination. She said, because they were counting them all the time, that only 34 women and 80 men remained. Everybody else was sent to the right. So then they were taken to another place, to disinfection, to tattooing and all the procedures that we learned and read about. And they passed the crematorium. Of course, they didn't know what that was. So someone asked what was burning there because it was a smell and everything, you know. And they were said, we are baking bread here. And Erika said, by then, they were probably already burning ours, my grandmother, little cousin, and the aunt. So Erika, her sister and mother were selected for forced labor. It was a very difficult time. She is very thoroughly describing how life and routine in the concentration camp was difficult and how there was really not a lot of place for hope. And she didn't have any encounter with Mengele for a while, but routine was probably, and the numbers were probably, as I just described, every day there. So when she was then later, again, going through some selecting procedures, it was her with her mother and other ladies standing in a line. And then they were all naked. And Mengele was there. And she describes Mengele pretty much in the same line as other written or oral testimonies describe him. He was elegant, not touching anyone. He was just with some gesture deciding upon their fate. And he very rarely said anything, something. So when he saw her in that line, and she was, as I said, 13 years old and still very small and very, she was not eating, so she was not growing since she came. He stepped to her and he said, "You little one, come out." And he gave some signs, so she was then taken to another room. In that room, she said there was a very a window that was it was the ground floor, so the window was there, and she saw it, and she immediately jumped out of the window. And a kid alone, she didn't know why she was doing it. She just jumped out and she went back and came again to the same line. And again, she was standing there with her mother. That's a pretty natural thing to do if you're a kid, I would say. So Mengele noticed her again. He came to her, he pulled her by the ear, and he said, and you are here again. So that was really a very, very direct contact with him. She was, by that time, absolutely sure that she's going to the crematorium. So she was taken to another barrack, and she didn't expect much from her life anymore. In this barrack, there were only children. They were aged 2 to 16, she remembered later. So she then, in return, understood that they needed some kids there for some other. It wasn't slavery work, but it wasn't much better. So she was there joining all the kids. She was separated from her mother and sister. She described this period in the concentration camp as much better. She was finally having a bed of her own. She was eating a little better, but she was absolutely alone, and she was absolutely sure that mother and sister were sent to the crematorium. So the only hope she had was that maybe her father could be still alive. Then I think I will not have the time to really go through all very important, for me at least, testimonies from her legacy, how she then tried to find her father. Instead, she at least found her mother and the sister again. So what I wanted just to leave with you as a very important parts of her testimony is that she was so strong in spirit that after so many years, when remembering, she was able to say the sentence, Mengele saved me twice. That is what can be called, he saved me. She was then, you see here that I said that she was a child who had to grow up overnight. There is a very, very moving chapter how she was every night she was sneaking out of the barrack because her mother was suffering from the bromide that they were given. Severe injuries in the mouth, and she was not able to eat, so she was probably going to die. So this little child of 13 years, she sneaked out every night, and she tried to find some of the remains of the food that was given to German officers, to soldiers, because she thought that they might not be given the bromide. So she grabbed those remains to her mother, and finally mother really went a little better. So it is really a very, very touching and moving story that for me was important in this central part that I'm now not going to explain. That was my investigation on what did these people who came there very late in time, it was 44 already, so we know that the concentration camps already did some work before that time. How much did they know about the procedures, the processes, the persons? Mengele was not known to them at that time. They were not informed about crematorium as they arrived there. Information at that time was not spread that easily as it is today. So they were really not knowing anything about what they were about to experience there. This is again, I would like, this is why again, I would like to thank you for this opportunity, because as you already mentioned Primo Levi, we all know what he said. He said what happened once can happen again. And the only way that we try to prevent that from happening again is to do what Erika Fürst has done, and this is to spread the memory and to preserve the memory. Thank you.